it was a very unique process, the whole shooting of the show. So everyone who was sort of a guest, we would sort of give them our spiel basically and kind of walk them through the process. And a part of that spiel was like, this is our editor, Eric. He will be giving the notes that we essentially would normally be saying behind your back in a few months from now, but we'll be saying them now to your face.
I also think that the actors eventually, our core cast especially, came to see Eric as a safety net. Like they've never had that where like they're being told that's not fast enough and I know it, and you're going to do a better job delivering that joke if you just speed it up 10%, like from an editor.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a learning experience for everyone, but by the second or third week, it was sort of like, oh, yep, Eric's here. He's going to help us make this better.
Hi, I'm Seth Rogen. I am one of the actors and writers and producers and creators and directors of the studio.
Hi, I'm Evan Goldberg, and I am one of the writers, producers, creator, and directors of the studio.
Hi, this is Eric Kissack, the editor of the studio, and
this is how we did it. Yeah, I mean, when we were first meeting with editors or even talking about, I don't think we met with anyone else. When we first met with Eric, we knew we were going to shoot the show this way. And so that was actually like one of the first conversations we had. It was like, how does an editor fit into sort of this process? And that's where the idea of starting with the idea that he would just be on set all day, every day and sort of live edit the scenes as we were shooting them, essentially.
When Seth pitched the show to me and explained how we wanted to do every scene as essentially a oneer, my brain started spinning out, and I immediately started thinking like, okay, like how are we going to do this? Because you can pull off a oneer. I mean, oneers are done often, but pulling off a oneer that's also exciting and dynamic and funny is a really, really hard challenge. And so we sort of quickly realized that the only way to make it work would be for me to be on set every day.
And the more we kind of got into it, the more we were just like, tell us how you would edit the scene and what you would be looking for, and we can maybe incorporate all of that into the shot, you know what I mean? And he would be as nuanced as, I would cut to a reaction shot of Ike, and then I would go back to you, and then we would do it, and he'd be like, I would hold on that reaction shot for like a split second longer, and then I would go back to you, and then we would do a whole take again just to sort of hone in on that. And then so it really, and then after watching it a few times, he would be like, I would probably cut this joke because it's like funny, but it's not like as funny as the other jokes. It's a joke that I imagine us sitting down to watch the scene and ending and being like, we really need that exchange, and so maybe cut that joke now,
Yeah, and it even evolved to the point where, like, well into shooting, we would go over the scenes at the start of the day every day, and then we'd go through it with him to say, is there anything editorially you notice in these pages that, like, you're suspect of before we even film it? So it got real intimate with Eric. I've never heard of an editor being on set in that manner.
I visited sets on other shows, but never there for all 60 days. It was a very new experience. I mean, it was, literally like showed up the first day and didn't know where to sit, and like wound up like asking Seth if I could sit in his chair, and he was like, yeah, I don't care, sit in my chair. And then I was like, this feels weird. And the next day I show up and there's a chair with my name on it. It was amazing.
In the first week, I noticed a lot of people were like, this editor is crazy. Like, look how opinionated he is. Like, he won't stop talking. And we had to be like, we want him to do this. This is like an arrangement we've created. He's
like,
not
so this was the first conversation we had, was that he would be this interactive as we were filming, basically.
I got to tell you, Matt, honestly, it's not surprising, because you're just another run-of-the-mill, faceless, talentless, spineless suit.
I have a face.
Just give me back my movie and let me go sell it to Apple the way I should have done it in the first place.
The day we had Scorsese on set was just the most surreal day. I mean, first of all, he just like bounded onto set like a little kid. I mean, he was just so happy to be there and not having to direct. And yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of nervousness about like telling him what to do. He had like improvs he wanted to do, and they were like funny, but then we were like, oh, but we need to get it clean, and so it was this very like stressful, weird day. I was probably the most stressed out of everyone because, I was like, wait, this all has to click together, this all has to work, and so I always, I would always like Seth and Evan would be like, we love it, we're happy, let's move on. And I would run on set and be like, no, we need one more where he says this. And they'd be like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah, we were very nervous. Yeah. I mean, everyone was very nervous, obviously, around Martin Scorsese. We had never met him.
So and we hadn't met him like to the day of shooting. We hadn't Zoomed with him. We hadn't talked on the phone, nothing.
And we actually shot him early in the schedule, but thank God it wasn't one of the first couple days. Like by the time we got to him, we had sort of gotten a good dose of how the style hypothetically would work.
But again, it's the nice thing about him being a director is he showed up. We talked about it for a couple minutes. He was like, yeah, French New Wave. I get it. Cool. Let's go.
I get it. You know, they had one camera. They could only afford one camera, so they could only do it all in one thing. So they used Jean continuous takes. They didn't like editing that much. And they were like, oh, yeah, you know all this. we don't need to tell you how this works. Martin Scorsese, I think you were pretty good at that one.